All right. Hello, ladies. It's Kiki Strickland, the Matchmaker and Dating Coach again. And I am here to talk with you once again about my new book on dating safely. Let me show you the cover. I'm going to be sharing my screen a little bit during this one. So it's called Dating Safely, Avoiding Stalkers, Scammers, and Serial Killers. I threw that in there. We don't have a lot of serial killers. You would think there would be with how many movies and TV shows there are about serial killers. But I put that line in there because we did have a very serious incidents happen in the DMV, where I am, the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, Washington, DC area. And it was here. He was based in this area, and he was using Craigslist or some dating apps to lure Black women to different places. And I'll talk about that in another video. But today I want to share some tips with you on how to avoid stalkers and what to do if you actually have someone. I've only had one client that I was working with actually tell me that she felt like she was being stalked by a guy that she had gone out on a date with. She said that she thought he was following her. He knew where she would be and where she had been. And she saw him in a car not too far behind her one day. She said she just kept driving around. She was going home, but she just kept driving around and trying to lose him. She did not want to pull into her driveway, even though I believe she said he knew where she lived because they had dated a couple of times. And she had shared with him where she lives. Now, I'm going to talk about that in this video, about who you should share your address with, or even the vicinity, because if you are dating and you're meeting men, they don't have to know exactly where you live. I've talked about your phone number in previous videos and how you can use a Google number, because if you do use your real phone number, your address may be associated with that number. Some of you don't have it set up that way, or you're not the one who pays for your cell phone, so your address doesn't come up when they Google your cell phone. But most of you, if they have your phone number, they also have your address, because all they have to do is Google your number and all that comes up. But we talked about using a Google number so you can avoid that. Give them a Google number instead of your real phone number in the beginning, just because you don't quite know them yet. But I'm going to talk about other things that you can also do. Like in a previous video, I talked about not doing check-ins on social media when you get to the place. You can check in once you're leaving the place. That way, you're already gone. If somebody is seeing that on their phone and thinking, oh, I can rush over there and be where she is. So don't check in when you get there. If you just have to do a check-in to let people on your social media sites know where you've been, do the check-in when you're leaving. Or better yet, even after you've already left, you can still tag a location without actually being there. But let me tell you a few of the other tips that I would like to share with you today, because it does happen a little bit more than we think. It doesn't happen that often, though. Don't be so paranoid about somebody stalking you. Most men, well, first of all, most of you ladies are telling me that you can't even get a second date with a guy. So let alone worry about him stalking you. You can't even get him to call you, call you back. So in general, this is not something that you really have to be worried about. Especially if you are a naturally safe, conscientious, alert person, which you should be. So this is not, and the book is not to scare anybody or to make you afraid of dating or to make you think that there's a lot of crazies out there. It's just knowledge to have in case anything goes left. If you're like me and you like a lot of Lifetime movies and thrillers, then you're constantly reading and seeing stuff where the people are crazy and the people are killers. But that is not the average person. That is not the majority of people. So I just want to preface everything to say, I don't want you to be scary. I don't want you to be afraid to date and to meet new people. You should be getting out, meeting people, going on dates if you're looking for your Mr. Right. These are just some tips to help you stay safe while you are doing that. All right. And so I was watching a movie on Tubi. It was called Stalker in the House. And that one is a good example of some of the things that a man or a woman, because women can be stalkers and serial killers, scammers too, as you know, a lot of female scammers out there and con artists. But in Stalker in the House, this guy was off the chain and he was figuring out ways to get her to do things, but that was because she was too nice. And so my first tip to you out there is don't be too nice. You got to have a little bit of if you're dealing with a stalker. Now, I'm not saying don't be nice to guys that you date. Of course, you want to be sweet, you want to be kind, you want to be feminine, you want to let him take the lead on things if you are feeling him. Now, if this is somebody that you've assessed and now you're not feeling him, don't be nice. You want to be straightforward. You want to even be almost businesslike, so there's no room for him to get, or there's no room for him to not know that you are no longer interested. So don't be nice. Tell him directly to his face, I'm not interested. Please leave me alone. If he persists, you might have to even use stronger language, like, I'm going to call the police if you don't stop harassing me. That word harass will raise up his antennas because he doesn't feel like he's harassing you. He might feel like he's pursuing you. He might feel like he's being aggressive in the way that men should be. He might feel like you're the one for him and he's just trying to make it happen between the two of you. But once you use that kind of language, harassing, stalking, leave me alone, say it in a very strong voice. Some of us can be a little too nice. We don't want to hurt the person's feelings, but when you're dealing with somebody who won't leave you alone, you're going to have to hurt their feelings. Okay. I've talked about this in the past. Don't let anyone know where you live or work. Some of us are very open about where we work, and that's why we're stalkable. If you're posting on your social media accounts, pictures from your job, things that are going on at work so that people know where you work, then just be aware. If there are men that you no longer want to see or don't want to have contact with you, they know where you work and they could show up. Now, if they show up, again, you want to use that strong language. I'm going to get security if you don't leave. I'm going to call the police if you don't leave right now. I do not want to see you at my place of business. Please leave. If he has been to your place, change your locks, change your passwords, change your security codes. Now, I know there was one movie, The Perfect Guy, with Sanaa Lathan and one of my favorite actors, Michael Ealy. She had one of those keys outside under a rock, under a flower pot. So first of all, I don't think many of us do that. When you've lived in not some nice neighborhoods, there's no way you would even consider leaving a key outside where somebody could get it. But if you are somebody who has done that in the past or has an apartment and you have like a key over the door frame, don't do that. And or if you have done it and he saw where it was, you would think it would be common sense. But people don't think about everything. So I'm telling you right now, if you have a key outside of your house or key someplace where you can get it if you lose your keys, definitely move it. Move it around, put it in a different place. I don't recommend doing that. I would rather give my key to a neighbor or someone, a friend. But I don't even do that. But if you have a key outside your place, please take it in. Don't do that. So the rest of the things I'm going to say are what I feel like is common sense, but we're not always using it. Always meet the person in public. So I hear women saying all the time that they talk to a guy online and then he'll say, why don't you come over, or can I come over there? No, you don't know him. Always meet in public. Don't let a guy come to your house or go to his unless you've already met him a few times out in public, like you've been on dates with him, 1, 2, at least 3 dates. Because again, a person can fool you on the first meeting, the first date. Go again out somewhere with him. Don't let this, what do I want to call this? It's kind of like instant intimacy, where you feel like you know the person because you've been chatting with them online, or you've been talking to them on the phone, or you've been emailing with them. That's false intimacy. You still don't really know him. So I would say, unless you've actually been on an in-person outing with him 3 times, do not go to his house and do not have him at your house. Okay. Don't let your phone be out, or don't let him use your phone. He might say, oh, I left my phone in the car. Can I use your phone? If he has access to your phone, or if you leave it out, even on the table while you go to the restroom, he can put one of those tracking apps on it. He could put a virus on it, which will allow him to use your camera on your phone when you don't know it. Do not leave your phone out where someone else can have access to it. Keep it in your purse at all times. Keep your purse on you. Keep it somewhere on your body. Just make sure that no one else has access to your phone, because people can put stuff on it that will allow them access to you without you even knowing. So here's what I want to talk about. If you do have someone who is what you feel that if you have someone that you feel is being too aggressive or stalking you or just making you feel uncomfortable, document everything. Keep a folder. How many times did he call you? Even today, say he calls, what time is it? 8:04. Write it down. Called at 8:04. If he calls again, called at 8:13. If he calls again, write it down. Called at 8:22. So you are keeping track of everything that this person is doing. And I know you don't want to do that. I know you want to forget about him. But if this is something that's going to escalate, it might escalate, and you don't know that it's going to escalate. I mean, hindsight is 2020. You will wish that you had written down everything, because you won't remember every single little incident unless you document it. And you want to have proof for the police, for the prosecutor, if it goes that far. And you need to be able to show them, this is what he's done, and this is why I feel like I need a restraining order. So document everything that happens and keep it in a folder. Make sure that you let other people know what he is doing. You watch those movies and the woman hasn't told anybody that this man is stalking her. And then he shows up to this thing with her coworkers and they're like, oh, they're friendly to him because they don't know. Or he shows up with your family somewhere and you're like, how did he meet my family? You didn't tell them that this person was stalking you, that you didn't want to be around this person. They didn't know what he looked like. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell people, the people in your circle, the people around you. You might even have to tell your boss. If you see him at your job, you need to tell your boss, this guy, I met him, I went out with him, and he won't leave me alone. I've told him I'm not interested. I saw him here at the building. Tell your boss this. Show your boss a picture of him. If you have security in the building, great. Show his photo to them so that they know if they see him to call security or to let somebody know. So you're not alone in this, and you need to bring other people into this so that you're not alone. And also so that they can help you get rid of him. Let him know that you have told other people. That usually alone will stop the harassment or stop the stalking, because they don't want to be found out. They don't want other people to know what they're doing. And truth be told, they might not even realize that what they're doing is unwanted until then. Once you tell them, the security guard at the front door, my boss, my neighbor, my parents, whoever, know that you are stalking me. That might even wake them up, because again, a stalker doesn't know. 9 times out of 10, the stalker might not even realize he's a stalker. He just knows what he wants, and he's trying to get what he wants. So make sure he knows that other people know what he's doing. For serious incidents, get the police involved, and then get a restraining order when they say that you can get one. So some people that have been stalked said, oh, I didn't bother with the restraining order because it's just a piece of paper. What's that going to do? He's not going to listen to that. He's going to keep doing it. Okay. The reason why you need to get a restraining order against him is so that the police are able to arrest him when he does something else. You're correct that it doesn't stop him from doing whatever he's doing at that moment. But if you don't have a restraining order in place, it's like starting over every time he does something. You're going to have to call the police, explain everything again. They may or may not think that it warranted them coming, but when you have a restraining order in place, all you have to do is say when you call them, I have a restraining order against this person, but he's here. They will come, they will arrest him. They already know the necessary paperwork is in place, and they can do their job. So look at it this way. If you have a restraining order in place, it's so that the police can do their job and keep him away from you. Or if he is violating that, they can take him to jail. So please get a restraining order if this is something that has continued to happen, and no matter what you do, he won't listen. You just got to go get that restraining order. If you do have the restraining order, notify the police every time he violates it. You might feel like you're bothering them. You might feel like, okay, I called the police 2 hours ago when I saw him outside my building. Now he's out there again. Bother them. That's what they're there for. Their job is to keep you safe. So don't feel like you're bothering them, please. Call them each and every time he does something. So for every incident, we want you to have a police report, meaning you called them, you told them what happened, they documented it, and sometimes you have to ask them, I would like a police report on this. I would like a report made, because sometimes they will come and say, he's harmless. You don't know if he's harmless. And I think the police are finally starting to wake up about some of the things that men have done to scare us, and we felt threatened, but they didn't see it as threatening. It's a new day, and even with the Me Too movement, things are being taken more seriously now, thank God. So document everything, tell the police every time, call them if he violates the restraining order. Don't feel like you're bothering them. And then you document it, keep it in your folder, keep everything in that one folder about his behavior. I would even make a copy of what's in that folder and keep it in 2 separate places. Maybe one folder with everything at home and a copy of it at work in your desk. All right, do not allow him access to you at all. So the movie that I mentioned, Stalker in the House, I think that's where it happened. And this is on Tubi. It's a free movie on one of those free platforms, Tubi. In that movie, the guy purposely left his watch at her place and came over to get it. She had already decided she did not want to see him again. She had already felt like this, something is not quite right here. But she was trying to be nice. And again, can't be nice. He knocked on the door. First of all, she was surprised to see him because he just showed up out of the blue, and he said, I think I left my watch when I was here. So that lets you know the first mistake she made was having him over her place too soon. She didn't really know him. She decided she didn't like him after the first rendezvous, which should not be happening either. You don't know these people, so don't do anything with them. But anyway, he just showed up out of the blue saying he left his watch there, and he had purposely left his watch there. She let him in to get his watch was a big mistake. Don't ever let them back in. Don't ever let them have access to you again. Don't even open the door. Once you saw that he was knocking, you are not required to even say anything. You can act like you ain't even there. He'll be knocking out there for an hour if he wants, but I'm not opening the door. She could have said when he knocked at the door and she didn't open it, but she said, what are you doing here? And he said, I left my watch. She could have said, okay, I'll get it to you another time. Or she could have said, I'll mail it to you. Or if she did want to give it back to him right then, she could have said, okay, step away from the door. Go, you might have to tell him, go stand on the curb and I'll put it outside. Do what you got to do, but don't ever allow somebody to come into your space after you've already decided there's something wrong with them. I hate when I'm watching those movies and the person even has a weapon, but they get too close. It's like, don't even get within arm's reach because they can grab you. Make sure there's an appropriate amount of distance where they cannot knock the weapon from your hand. Yeah, we'll talk about that at another date too, because I believe that it's good to know how to use a weapon. So we'll talk about that not today. All right, so I was saying, don't allow him access to you at all, no matter what he's saying or what he left, or I want to talk to you. There's nothing to talk about. No. If you must tell me something to get closure, write it in a letter and mail it to me. But no, you are not obligated to meet with anybody for them to get closure. You are not obligated to open the door just because somebody is outside knocking. You are not obligated to answer any phone calls. I think we pretty much got that because a lot of us don't answer our phones anyway. So let them call, don't answer. But basically, you're not obligated to do anything that you don't want to do, especially if you don't feel safe with the person. Forget about etiquette, forget about manners, forget about niceness. If you have decided no, cut it. If you think he has been getting in and out of your place, get security cameras or a nanny cam. That will help you also document, look, this is him coming into my place while I wasn't here. The police will definitely take that seriously. Do not tell him he's crazy. Do not argue about the relationship. Just tell him to leave. Tell him to leave you alone. I talked about that in the beginning, so I won't go more over that, but I do want to share with you a resource. I found some great tips at womenslaw.org. Let me show you the site. All right, womenslaw.org about abuse, safety tips for stalking victims. Yes, look at this, safety tips for stalking victims. This was 2020, updated February 12th of 2020, right before Valentine's Day. This shows you some general safety strategies, how to be safe at home, how to be safe at work or school. This even talks about legal options, talks about documenting the stalker's activities. This seems like a really good website. Look over here, safety when an abuser gets out of jail. Safety in court, safety in school, safety while using the internet. Great resource. Check this out. If you do have someone that won't leave you alone. Now I'm going to talk another video about making sure you're not roofied. We already know not to accept a drink if you did not see the bartender pour it. Like if there wasn't a direct visual from him getting the drink from the bartender and walking it over to you, then it's suspect. That's all I can say. And again, here we're going back to the politeness and the niceness and not wanting anybody to get their feelings hurt, but you can't be worried about that. If this guy just comes up to you with a drink, do not feel bad for saying, I'm sorry, I don't take drinks that I didn't see poured. You might offend him, so what? You're being safe, and he should understand that. If he has to go back, if he paid for that drink, and he didn't put anything in it, he might get upset or feel mad. That's on him. It's not on you. In this day and age, you understand that you have to operate under safety, caution, or whatever that means. So he'll just have to get his feelings hurt. Don't accept drinks unless you saw them. And I actually have seen a few things where the bartender was in on it. So even then, you just got to be careful out there. Have your own drink before you come there. But anyway, we're just being safe. All right. So the last thing that I want to say, and I'll talk about this in another video in more detail, but I want to make sure that you all know not to get in cars with people, even if they have a weapon and they're threatening to shoot you, like say you're walking down the street and he comes up and he has a gun or he has a knife and he says, get in the car or get in the van. Do not get in the van. Do not get in the car. It would be better to even let him shoot you standing there on the street where there might be people around that could hear the shot and take you to the hospital than to get in his car and be abducted, kidnapped. Then you could be there for years, abused. Okay, so my mom always taught me, if you're somewhere and somebody tries to grab you and put you in a car, fight, scream, yell, fire, fire, because if you yell help, people might be afraid to actually help. But if you yell fire, people are going to look out the window to see if there's a fire because they might be in danger. So people are always looking out for themselves, not necessarily to help you. So that's why you scream fire as loud as you can. And you start fighting, punching, kicking, scratching, using your purse to hit them, anything. But don't let them put you in the car or the van. Don't let them take you. We've all seen the movie Taken. Don't let them take you because you don't have a dad like Liam Neeson who's going to come and rescue you. So it would be better to get shot right there or stabbed right there on the street. And 9 times out of 10, they're really not going to shoot you because they're not trying to kill you. They're trying to take you. And they don't want to kill you on the street because then they could get caught. Somebody could hear that shot. So I would prefer somebody try to abduct me with a gun because it's more likely that you can get away because they're not usually going to shoot you if you resist. You'll just get away. So always keep yourself covered in prayer. Always be alert and cautious no matter where you are, even at your job or if there's a parking lot. You know, always be alert, see what's around, see who's around. Pay attention to cars that are not far from you or that come close. Don't be on your phone. We're always on our phones. Please don't be on your phone while you're walking to your car or walking somewhere, even during the daytime. These days, things can happen during the day. If you're a jogger and you like to go jogging in the morning or at night, you want to carry mace. You want to carry your phone to be able to call the police. Don't have your headphones in where you can't hear things going on around you. If you are going to jog with music, have it low enough where you could hear if somebody is jogging behind you, because you never know where the stalker, when the stalker is going to attack. So always be alert and aware. All right, I have so much more to share. What if you're at a party and you get trapped in a room with some guys? Or what if you're, there's a lot of different scenarios that I want to cover. So come back for the next installment of this dating safely, avoiding stalkers and scammers and serial killers. All right, I'm Kiki Strickland, the Matchmaker and Dating Coach at kikistrickland.com. Happy dating and talk to you soon.